Close your eyes and let the weight of the world dissolve into your mattress. You are becoming light, rising above the Earth's quiet hum. Beyond the velvet darkness, a celestial nursery awaits. We are drifting toward the Orion Nebula, where ancient gas and light weave the soft colors of creation. We glide into a veil of deep crimson silk. This is the glow of ionized hydrogen, the universe's primary building block. Energized by the gentle warmth of newborn stars, it stretches for trillions of miles, a slow-motion ocean of gas, pulsing with a rhythm far older than time, cradling future suns. As the red mist thins, a ghostly turquoise begins to shimmer. This is the breath of the nebula, ionized oxygen radiating a soft emerald glow. The light travels lazily from the brilliant infant stars at the center, casting long, silent shadows through the dust, illuminating the void like a translucent lantern. Beyond the turquoise glow, we encounter ribbons of deep charcoal dust. These dark lanes are cold cradles, where microscopic grains of soot and ice mask the light, creating silhouettes of profound indigo. Within these shadows, gravity hums, a low, invisible note, slowly drawing the elements together into quiet, spinning disks. Now 4 brilliant points of light emerge, the Trapezium stars. Their radiance pushes gently against the surrounding clouds, carving soft golden hollows into the mist. This stellar wind is a slow, persistent exhale, shaping the nebula's gas into flowing sculptures that drift across the millennia in perfect, silent grace. In this luminous cathedral, the light is layered like a dream. Violet edges of ultraviolet radiation reach out, unseen, ionizing sulfur to produce deep, earthy ochres. Everything moves at the speed of patience, a grand orbital ballet where every particle knows its place in the quiet, weightless dark of the nebula. We notice tiny dark silhouettes, teardrops of shadow adrift in the glow. These are protoplanetary disks, the quiet nurseries where planets are born. They rotate with agonizing slowness, protected by the nebula's thick embrace, moving in a rhythmic, circular piece that spans across the deep, silent epochs of time. The dust here doesn't just block light, it reflects it, scattering shorter wavelengths to create a soft, ethereal blue. Like a fine cosmic mist, these reflection nebulae shimmer gently, hanging in the void. It is a quiet, sapphire glow that complements the deeper reds, painting a portrait of eternal stillness. We drift through shifting gradients, where cool sapphire meets the warm ember glow of hydrogen. Here, atoms collide with a rhythmic cadence, releasing photons that have traveled over 1,000 years to find you. It is a slow, luminous dance of chemistry, repeating its silent cycles across the vast, comforting void. The starlight carves canyons of gold through the velvet clouds. This is the thermal expansion of the nebula, a gentle, slow-motion push of warmth against the cold. Ions drift in a rhythmic tide, ebbing and flowing in a cycle that takes millions of years to complete, a breath held for eons. As we move further from the radiant core, the colors soften into pastel shades of orange and pink. This is the subtle signature of nitrogen and sulfur atoms, vibrating in the cold. Gravity here is a quiet architect, pulling atoms together with a patience that transcends our earthly understanding. We watch as these pastel hues merge with the indigo deep. Here, the light of stars born eons ago reflects off microscopic ice crystals, scattering like silver dust. Every particle follows its destined path, caught in a rhythmic, orbital embrace that feels as steady as a heartbeat in the void. The central stars act as a beacon, energizing the surrounding hydrogen. This creates a soft, translucent pink glow that seems to vibrate with a low-frequency hum. It is the color of warmth and beginning, a gentle radiance that fills the vastness with a sense of quiet, cosmic purpose. As we drift further, we witness the light carving silver linings along the edges of dense gas clouds. These are the boundary layers, where starlight gently breaks apart complex molecules. The process is slow and rhythmic, creating ripples of amber and gold that wash across the nebula like a silent tide. Deep in the shadows, the dust acts as a filter, scattering the light into a soft, hazy violet. This scattering creates a cool, tranquil glow that buffers the warmth of the interior. We float through these indigo pockets, where time feels suspended, and every atom moves in a slow, weightless spiral. Within this glowing expanse, narrow jets of gas pierce the silence. These streams, tinted in deep amber by sulfur, collide with the surrounding nebula. Instead of impact, there is a soft, radiant bloom, a bow shock that spreads slowly like a ripple on a dark cosmic pond, perfectly still. We move into a layer of cool, infrared light, invisible to the eye, but felt as a gentle, ambient warmth. Here, the dust grains are coated in ice, reflecting the distant stars in shades of pearl and silver. It is a slow, rhythmic cooling, a thermodynamic sigh of the universe. The light filters through dense veils of carbon and silicate, scattering into a soft golden haze. This is the nebula's translucent skin, where the heat of stars meets the absolute cold of deep space. Every atom drifts in a slow, predictable curve, governed by the gentle, silent hand of gravity. We encounter the deep, crimson signature of nitrogen, blending seamlessly with the surrounding hydrogen. These colors don't sit still. They shift and flow in a rhythmic, cosmic cycle. The light moves like honey through the dark, tracing the slow gravitational pull that shapes this magnificent stellar garden over eons. A soft border of emerald light emerges where the intense radiation meets the cold gas. This is the ionization front, a luminous boundary drifting at a glacial pace. It glows with the steady hum of atoms being gently reshaped, a rhythmic transition that feels as certain as the turning of seasons. Ahead, the famous Orion bar reveals itself a ridge of concentrated golden light. It is a luminous cliff of amber and bronze, where stellar radiation meets a dense wall of cold gas. The transition is steady and silent, a slow erosion of dust that unfolds over millennia in the weightless dark. The light within this golden ridge vibrates at a frequency we can almost feel. Behind the bar, cooler clouds of charcoal and deep navy contain the seeds of organic life. Here, molecules of water and carbon dance in a slow rhythmic rotation, shielded from the harsh starlight by the nebula's protective dust. Beyond the golden ridge, we find pockets of soft fluorescence. Forbidden transitions of oxygen create a hauntingly beautiful green light that glows in the low density of space. This emerald mist pulses with a slow, rhythmic energy, flowing with the patient, unhurried grace of the deep and comforting void. As electrons find their way back to hydrogen nuclei, a soft magenta glow fills the space. This cycle of ionization and recombination is a rhythmic heartbeat, repeating over millions of years. We float within this pink luminescence, feeling the gentle, weightless pull of the nebula's vast, silent machinery at work. we encounter soft, burnt orange arcs drifting through the violet haze. These are the bow shocks, where high-speed jets of gas from hidden infant stars meet the surrounding clouds. Though they move fast, here they appear as unmoving ripples, a silent, rhythmic bloom of light frozen in time's vast embrace. The nebula's outer layers act as a gentle prism, bending light into a soft spectrum of indigo and violet. Here, the vacuum is filled with a fine cosmic rain of dust, moving in silent gravitational tides. Each speck follows an ancient orbit, contributing to the nebula's slow and rhythmic dance. In the heart of the cloud, a deep crimson warmth persists. This is H-alpha light, a specific vibration of hydrogen that colors the nebula's soul. It pulses with a slow, rhythmic energy, flowing through the vastness like a gentle tide, carrying the quiet history of stars yet to be born. We drift from the crimson heart toward the outer edges, where the light of the Trapezium stars scatters off cold dust. This creates a pale sapphire glow, like moonlight on a still lake. Here, the molecules of the nebula move in a slow geometric harmony, guided by the silent, steady pull of gravity. We pass through clouds rich with complex carbon molecules, the tiny seeds of future worlds. These microscopic grains of soot absorb the distant starlight, re-emitting it as a faint amber warmth. They drift in the silent currents of the nebula, part of a slow, rhythmic cycle that has repeated for eons. The light of ionized oxygen returns, a soft emerald pulse against the dark. These photons ripple through the thin gas like waves on a velvet sea. Each vibration is a rhythmic echo of energy, moving with a silent, steady persistence that weaves the nebula's colors into a timeless, weightless tapestry. We observe the soft lavender glow of molecular hydrogen. This subtle color marks the regions where the cold of space meets the warmth of the stars. In this transition, atoms align in a rhythmic, geometric dance, falling slowly toward new centers of mass within the nebula's vast, silent cradle. We move into the silhouettes of dark nebulae, where the light is absorbed by dense grains of carbon. These cool, indigo shadows protect the fragile embryos of future planets. Within these depths, gravity hums a low, rhythmic song, drawing atoms into a slow, spiraling dance that spans across the eon. We drift into the amber transition zones, where starlight warms the edges of molecular clouds. Here, complex carbon chains glow with a soft, honey-colored light. It is a slow, rhythmic vibration, a chemical heartbeat echoing through the vastness, marking the steady, patient progress of stellar birth in this weightless garden. We emerge from the amber clouds into a vast, hollowed-out cavern of silver light. The 4 central suns push gently against the nebula's walls, their invisible breath sculpting the gas into soft, white plumes. This slow, steady pressure creates a rhythmic ripple, like a long, silent sigh of the cosmos. Within the cavern's edge, ionized sulfur paints the mist in shades of deep ochre. This heavy, earthy tone marks where the stellar wind meets denser clouds at a glacial pace. It is a steady, rhythmic compression, a slow-motion molding of the nebula's ancient fabric in the silent, comforting dark. We drift toward the cooler periphery, where starlight scatters into a soft cerulean haze. These tiny dust particles, like suspended diamonds, reflect the brilliance of the interior sun. Each grain rotates with a rhythmic, unhurried precision, moving through the velvet dark in a slow, weightless circle that lasts for ages. Deep within the teal mist we find the rhythmic flickering of fledgling stars, Their light is filtered through curtains of silicate dust, creating a shimmering pearlescent glow. This light moves like liquid, flowing over the curves of the nebula in a slow, weightless tide that spans centuries in a single breath. As we drift further, the teal fades into a deep, meditative violet. This is the faint signature of ionized nitrogen, a cool ember glowing in the nebula's periphery. The light travels at a steady pace, weaving through the silent, dark lanes of dust in a slow and rhythmic journey toward infinity. Within these violet veils, we find the rhythmic vibration of cold carbon molecules. They align in the dark, spinning with a steady, unhurried grace. This subtle amber glow is the infrared breath of the nebula, a slow-motion dance of elements gathering under the gentle, invisible hand of gravity's patient pull. We reach the base of a towering pillar, sculpted from bronze dust. Here, the intense light of the Trapezium stars slowly erodes the dense gas, creating a shimmering fringe of gold. This process is rhythmic and patient, a cosmic weathering that reshapes the landscape over millions of silent, weightless years. At the tip of this bronze pillar, a soft magenta hue emerges, the sign of hydrogen atoms reuniting in a rhythmic pulse of energy. This luminous transformation happens in slow motion, a steady heartbeat of light and gas that has endured for ages in the silent, comforting embrace of the nebula. Beyond the pillar's glow, an unseen hand of ultraviolet light continues its work, gently pushing the nebula's edges. This radiation scatters against microscopic ice-covered dust, creating a soft cerulean mist. Here, the vacuum is filled with weightless diamonds, drifting in a rhythmic, silent orbit that feels as steady as your breath. Within this ethereal tapestry, we find thin, glowing veils of orange and red. These are the Herbig-Haro objects, where stellar winds meet the dense, surrounding gas. The light pulses with a steady, rhythmic cadence, marking a slow-motion collision that unfolds over centuries in the deep, silent reaches of the void. As these shocks dissipate, we are left with a ghostly emerald glow. This is the light of oxygen, forbidden in earthly labs but thriving in the low density of space. It fills the gaps between stars, a rhythmic, translucent mist that flows with a slow, gravitational pulse. Perfectly silent and weightless, we drift into the deep shadows where carbon dust gathers. These molecules rotate slowly, absorbing starlight and re-emitting it as a faint amber warmth. It is a rhythmic pulse, a chemical heartbeat in the coal. Every particle follows its path, governed by the gentle, silent pull of universal gravity. Within these dark cocoons, we see the silhouettes of infant solar systems. They are shrouded in indigo dust, outlined by a soft golden fringe where starlight grazes their edges. Everything here turns with a rhythmic, orbital patience, a slow-motion spin that defines the beginning of time in the silent, comforting deep. The lavender light of nitrogen now blends with the deep crimson of hydrogen. These colors do not clash, but merge in a slow, rhythmic transition. Across this vast, weightless nursery, the light flows like a gentle tide, tracing the steady, silent paths of gas and dust. Through the comforting void, we watch as the soft, emerald glow of oxygen pulses with the subtle energy of distant radiation. This light weaves through the dark lanes of dust in a slow, geometric pattern. It is a rhythmic dance of photons, moving through the weightless expanse with a grace that spans the eon. We drift into regions where light scatters against fine grains of silicate dust. This creates a pale, ethereal blue, shimmering like silk in the dark. Each grain of dust is a tiny mirror, reflecting the central suns in a slow rhythmic rotation that governs the quiet growth of the nebula. In this sapphire mist we find threads of warm gold. This is the thermal pressure of the gas, a slow exhale from the star clusters. It pushes against the cold void, carving out soft amber hollows. Everything moves with a rhythmic orbital precision, a silent symphony of light and time. We drift past dense towers of gas, where starlight erodes the edges into silver fringes. This radiation pressure is a slow, rhythmic touch, sculpting the nebula over millions of years. Within these dark folds, a deep violet glow remains the quiet, weightless signature of atoms in a cold, eternal rest. As we glide away from the dense towers, the light stretches and softens. We enter a region of low density where the crimson of hydrogen fades into a delicate, translucent pink. Here, photons travel in long, rhythmic paths, passing through the thin gas with a silent and effortless grace. In this thinning pink haze, the individual atoms vibrate in a slow, geometric resonance. They are cooling now, shedding their warmth into the infinite black. The light shifts toward the infrared, a rhythmic, amber glow that pulses like a soft heartbeat within the silent, comforting deep of the nebula. We enter a thicket of charcoal dust, where light is muffled and soft. Here, gravity's invisible hands work with agonizing slowness, drawing microscopic grains into spinning, rhythmic disks. These proto-worlds rotate with a steady orbital grace, marking time in a way that only the weightless void can truly understand. Silhouettes of infant stars cast long, amber shadows across the charcoal dust. We watch as the light bends around these dense pockets, creating a pearlescent fringe. Every movement is a rhythmic oscillation of gas and gravity, a slow-motion ritual performed in the heart of the comforting, silent void. The emerald glow of ionized oxygen returns, a forbidden light that only exists here, in the thin, silent vacuum. It ripples outward from the central stars like a slow-motion wave on a celestial shore. Each pulse is a rhythmic heartbeat, a steady vibration of energy traveling through the weightless dark. As the emerald waves recede, a deep violet mist begins to settle. This is the subtle glow of ionized nitrogen, lingering in the colder pockets of the nebula. It moves with a rhythmic, liquid grace, flowing around dense knots of star stuff, like a silent indigo tide in the weightless deep. We drift through the violet shadows where the nebula's gas thins and cools. Here, starlight strikes microscopic dust grains, scattering into a soft lavender haze. Each collision is part of a slow, rhythmic cooling, as the nebula exhales its warmth into the silent, comforting vastness of the weightless void. Within these cooling pockets, molecules slowly link together. Carbon and hydrogen form complex chains that glow with a faint amber warmth. This is the nebula's hidden chemistry, a rhythmic vibration occurring over millennia, protected by the velvet dark. Here, the precursors of life drift in a slow, weightless, and eternal dance. We glide through layers of ionized sulfur, where the gas takes on a rich golden ochre. This hue marks the interface where stellar heat meets cold interstellar dust. Everything is in a state of rhythmic transition, a majestic unfolding occurring over timescales beyond human reckoning. In the perfectly silent, weightless dark, we move deeper into the dark, reflective lanes of the nebula. Here, grains of silicate scatter the light of the central suns, creating a ghostly blue shimmer. These particles rotate with a rhythmic, unhurried precision, caught in the slow gravitational pull that guides the nebula's silent, eternal expansion into the void. The deep crimson of hydrogen surrounds us now, a rhythmic signature born as electrons cascade into place. This soft, ruby light flows like a slow, warm river through the nebula, guided by the patient, invisible hand of gravity. Every atom moves in a steady, weightless cycle across the comforting void. Beyond the ruby glow, threads of emerald oxygen weave a complex tapestry. This is a slow-motion mixing of elements, where the breath of stars blends with the ancient dust. Each swirl takes eons to complete, a rhythmic, silent choreography unfolding in the weightless, comforting deep of the void. The light here begins to shift, moving beyond the visible into the warm, comforting embrace of the infrared. Within these invisible folds, grains of space dust absorb the radiance, glowing with a soft, amber resonance. This slow, thermal heartbeat marks the steady growth of stars within the nebula's velvet, silent dark. We drift into the cooling periphery, where the light of the central suns is diffused into a soft, pearlescent mist. This scattering occurs as photons bounce off microscopic ice grains, each one a tiny mirror spinning in the silent dark. It is a slow, rhythmic rotation, guided by the weightless hand of gravity. In the wake of this pearlescent mist, we reach the ionization front, a luminous wall of gold and orange. Here, the starlight is so intense, it strips electrons from the gas, creating a slow-motion ripple of radiant energy. This boundary moves with a rhythmic persistence, a steady pulse in the weightless dark. Beyond the golden ridge, the gas begins to cool, shifting into a soft, meditative violet. This is the faint signature of nitrogen atoms, vibrating in the chill of the deep void. They move in slow, geometric orbits, caught in the eternal, rhythmic pull of the nebula's quiet gravity. Within these violet veils, dark, teardrop-shaped shadows emerge, protoplanetary disks drifting in the stillness. These cold cradles, rich in silicates and carbon, mask the light of hidden sun. They spin with a slow, rhythmic consistency, a gentle gravitational rotation that has hummed through the nebula for millions of silent years. We watch as the starlight grazes the edges of these dark disks, igniting a fringe of warm, golden infrared. This heat is a quiet radiation, a soft amber pulse that glows in the dark. It is a slow, rhythmic exchange of energy, sustaining the nebula's hidden life in the weightless silence. The emerald mist of ionized oxygen flows around these dark silhouettes like a slow phantom tide. This green radiance is a forbidden signature, a rhythmic vibration of atoms in the thin vacuum. It pulses with a steady, cooling energy, weaving through the nebula's complex layers in a silent, weightless embrace. We drift further into the pervasive ruby background of the nebula. This is the soft glow of hydrogen recombination, a slow chemical heartbeat. Each photon released is a rhythmic echo of an electron settling home, casting a warm, translucent pink light that flows like a silent tide through the weightless dark. The ruby transitions into a deep, velvety maroon where the gas is more concentrated. Here, the light moves at the speed of patience, filtering through dense veils of carbon and silicate. It is a slow, rhythmic ebb and flow, a cosmic breath that sustains the nebula's ancient, weightless dance. We drift from the maroon depths into a pocket of cool charcoal dust. Here, starlight is scattered into a soft cerulean glow, illuminating microscopic grains of carbon. Each grain spins with a rhythmic, predictable grace, governed by the same silent gravity that guides the slow birth of every distant star. Within this cerulean haze. The light meets denser veils of cold molecular hydrogen. Here, the colors settle into a deep indigo. This is a rhythmic migration of photons, drifting through the velvet dark in a cycle that spans millions of years. Everything is held in the nebula's steady, weightless embrace. As the indigo deepens, soft amber threads of ionized sulfur appear. These golden highlights mark the boundaries where the stellar wind gently pushes against the cold, silent dust. It is a rhythmic, slow-motion sculpture, carved by light over eons in the perfectly weightless, comforting dark of this celestial garden. The amber threads eventually bleed into the pervasive emerald of ionized oxygen. This green mist acts as a cosmic buffer, absorbing the energy of ancient suns and releasing it as a soft, rhythmic pulse. Here, time is measured in the slow drift of ions across the silent, weightless expanse. We drift through the regions where the emerald mist meets the crimson hydrogen. These colors swirl in a rhythmic, slow-motion exchange, a chemical dialogue between the elements. This mixing is gentle and silent, occurring over epochs, guided by the patient gravitational pull that keeps the universe in perfect, weightless balance. The mixing colors settle into a soft, peach-colored haze as ultraviolet radiation from the Trapezium stars strikes pockets of denser gas. These photons vibrate in a rhythmic, ancient pulse, illuminating microscopic pillars of carbon dust. Here, gravity's patient hand slowly gathers these grains into a quiet, weightless, and eternal spin. We leave the peach-colored fringes and sink into a region of cold silicates. Here, starlight is filtered until it becomes a ghostly silver. Each grain of cosmic dust is coated in a thin layer of ice, reflecting the distant stars in a slow, rhythmic shimmer across the silent, weightless void. Within this silver silence, the ice-coated grains hide a secret warmth. They absorb the distant energy of the trapezium, re-emitting it as a faint, amber hum of infrared light. This invisible radiation pulses in a slow, rhythmic cadence, warming the deep shadows where the next generation of suns begins to stir. We move from the amber warmth back into the protective charcoal lanes. Here, the density of the dust is so vast that starlight becomes a faint, indigo ghost. Gravity's quiet pull creates a rhythmic circular flow, where every molecule of carbon drifts in a slow-motion orbit across the silent deep. In these dark lanes, a sudden shimmer of sapphire emerges. It is starlight, gently bouncing off microscopic grains of silicate, creating a soft blue reflection. This light travels with a rhythmic, unhurried pace, illuminating the vast cathedral of the nebula in a slow, weightless, and eternal dance. Beyond the blue reflection, a rhythmic emerald pulse returns the signature of ionized oxygen. This forbidden light flows like a slow phantom tide, weaving through the sapphire haze. Each vibration is a silent testament to the nebula's steady gravitational heartbeat, guiding the elements in a perpetual, weightless, and comforting dance. This green phosphorescence begins to blur into a soft, rose-colored haze. This is the pervasive light of hydrogen, the universe's simplest atom, vibrating in a slow, rhythmic chorus. The colors merge with an unhurried grace, a silent, weightless symphony of chemistry that defines the heart of this ancient celestial nursery. We float within this rose-colored luminescence, feeling the gentle, weightless pull of the nebula's vast machinery. The light stretches as it passes through thinner gas, transitioning into a soft lavender. It is a slow, rhythmic migration of photons, marking the steady, patient progress of time in this silent garden. The lavender light gradually deepens into a rich, velvety indigo, where the nebula's gas cools and settles. In this quiet shadow, The slow-motion collision of particles creates a rhythmic amber sparkle, the infrared signature of heat trapped within the dust. Everything here moves in a patient, weightless, and eternal spiral. We drift through these indigo shadows, where silicate dust grains act as tiny, frozen prisms. They catch the stray light of newborn stars, refracting it into a soft, pearlescent glow. Each grain rotates with an agonizingly slow rhythm, a silent, cosmic clockwork, keeping time in the weightless dark of the void. We move toward the nebula's luminous ridges, where sulfur atoms radiate a warm golden ochre. This light marks a gentle boundary, where stellar breath shapes the clouds into long, flowing waves. Everything is in a state of rhythmic transition, a slow-motion sculpture, unfolding across the silent, weightless eons of the void. We follow the invisible threads of ultraviolet light as they bathe the nebula's inner walls in a ghostly silver sheen. This radiation acts as a gentle, persistent sculptor, hollowing out vast spaces with the silent breath of infant suns. In this weightless sanctuary, the gas drifts in a slow, rhythmic tide. In this luminous intersection, the emerald glow of oxygen blends with a faint, ghostly red from ionized neon. This chemistry is a slow-motion conversation between elements, governed by the rhythmic pulse of newborn sun. Every atom follows a weightless path, contributing to the nebula's silent, eternal growth in the void. We observe the silent erosion of gas at the edge of a dark proplyde. Here, starlight acts like a gentle tide, washing over the cold dust and creating a translucent pearly mist. This rhythmic shedding of matter is a slow, weightless transformation, unfolding across the vast and patient eons. Within these spinning disks, the nebula's light filters into shades of deep amber. This is the glow of warm dust, where complex molecules gather in the cold. Everything turns with a rhythmic, orbital patience, a silent, weightless preparation for the birth of worlds yet to be. In the comforting deep, we drift outward from the amber cores into the vast, rose-tinted reaches of hydrogen. This crimson glow is the nebula's soft breath, pulsating with a low-frequency rhythm. Light travels in slow, steady waves, illuminating the silken textures of the gas as they curl and flow in the weightless dark. Beyond the rose-tinted mist, we meet the cold edges of a molecular cloud. Here, the light bends into a deep, meditative violet. This color marks the boundary where starlight gently cools, scattering off microscopic ice crystals. Each crystal rotates in a slow, rhythmic circle within the silent, weightless dark. Within these cooling indigo depths, we find veils of carbon dust so thick they appear as charcoal canyons. Along their jagged rims, a faint emerald light of oxygen dances a rhythmic, silent glow. These dark reservoirs are still, yet they spin with a slow gravitational intent, cradling the universe's quietest secrets. As we drift deeper into the charcoal canyons, the light begins to transition once more. We encounter the rich golden ochre of ionized sulfur. This color marks the slow motion erosion of the cloud by distant, ancient star. Each photon pulses with a rhythmic certainty, flowing through the weightless void in a silent, eternal cycle. The sulfur's golden ochre begins to blend with a pervasive, ghostly teal. This is the boundary where the heat of massive suns meets the absolute cold of the deep nebula. In this slow collision zone, atoms move with a rhythmic, predictable grace, drifting together in a silent, weightless embrace that spans across the epoch. We drift into a region of pale sapphire, where starlight is scattered by fine grains of silicate dust. Like light through a morning mist, The blue is soft and rhythmic, pulsing with the steady vibration of distant suns. Each dust grain turns in a slow, weightless circle, caught in the void's eternal, patient flow. Within this sapphire mist, we encounter the rhythmic pulse of ionized oxygen, a ghostly emerald light that thrives only in the velvet thinness of space. It flows with a patient grace, a silent tide tracing the slow, gravitational heartbeat of the nebula as it exhales its radiance into the comforting void. As the emerald light thins, the soft, pervasive glow of hydrogen alpha red returns. This deep, silken color is the signature of electrons falling into place. Moving with an unhurried grace, this crimson tide follows a rhythmic cycle of gravity, persisting for millions of silent years within the weightless, comforting dark. We drift from the crimson into a layer of soft, cooling lavender. Here, nitrogen and hydrogen atoms mingle, vibrating at a lower energy state. This pastel hue marks a rhythmic transition, where the heat of stars fades into the silence of the void. Every particle moves in a slow, weightless spiral. Within this lavender twilight, microscopic grains of graphite and silicate spin with the patience of eons. These tiny dancers collide at a glacial pace, releasing a faint, amber warmth. This infrared glow is the rhythmic pulse of matter gathering, a slow and silent clockwork turning in the nebula's weightless heart. As the lavender fades, we sink into the velvet charcoal of a molecular cloud. Here, the light of newborn stars appears only as a faint sapphire fringe along the edges of the dust. Everything moves in a rhythmic rotation, a slow geometric alignment of atoms within the nebula's weightless cradle. Within this cradle, ultraviolet photons strike complex carbon chains, causing them to glow with a faint fluorescent pink. This is a rhythmic signature of chemistry within the void. Every molecule rotates in a slow gravitational spiral, contributing to the nebula's grand, silent clockwork through the weightless, comforting dark. The emerald glow of oxygen now yields to a soft, golden bronze. This is the thermal boundary, where intense starlight slowly evaporates the outer layers of infant worlds. The escaping gas flows in a rhythmic silver stream, trailing through the void like a silent, weightless ribbon across the epochs. These silver ribbons dissolve into the deeper indigo, sculpted by radiation pressure, a subtle force nudging atoms into long, silent arcs. A faint violet emerges as the gas thins, marking a slow, rhythmic shedding that will eventually seed new suns, unfolding across the patient, weightless deep of the comforting void. The violet mist slowly gives way to a shimmering teal. This is the ghostly touch of oxygen atoms, energized by the far-off Trapezium stars. These photons travel for 1,000 years to reach this point, moving in a rhythmic, silent wave across the nebula's vast, empty chambers in the comforting void. In the wake of this teal radiance, a soft rose warmth returns. This is the hallmark of hydrogen, pulsing with a rhythmic, low heartbeat. The light flows through the thin gas with a patient grace, defining the nebula's silent, weightless existence within the eternal, comforting deep of the void. The rose-tinted hydrogen begins to scatter against microscopic grains of silicate, creating a pale sapphire glow. This light is diffused into a soft lunar mist that fills the vast, silent chambers. Each grain turns in a rhythmic, weightless orbit, part of the nebula's slow and patient choreography through the deep void. Within this sapphire mist, the light shifts once more toward the long, warm waves of the infrared. Tiny pockets of amber glow emerge, marking where the dust grains have absorbed the stellar heat. This thermal pulse is a rhythmic heartbeat, a slow-motion transformation occurring in the weightless, silent dark. We drift toward a massive golden ridge known as the Orion Bar. Here, starlight sculpts the gas into long, glowing curtains of bronze and ochre. This slow-motion erosion is a rhythmic geometric dance, a steady weathering by light in the weightless, silent cathedral of the comforting void. Behind the golden ridge of the Orion Bar, the nebula deepens into a cool charcoal indigo. Here, complex molecules like carbon chains begin to link and rotate in a slow, rhythmic circle. This dark frontier acts as a protective shield, allowing the universe's delicate chemistry to unfold in silent, weightless peace. In these indigo depths, the light of distant suns is reduced to a soft, violet flicker. Each atom of carbon moves in a slow, geometric orbit, caught in a rhythmic cycle of gravity. This is the nebula's quiet work, a persistent and unhurried gathering of matter in the weightless dark. We drift toward a luminous veil where ionized oxygen radiates a soft emerald phosphorescence. This light only reveals itself in the thinnest reaches of the vacuum. It flows around us like a phantom tide, a rhythmic, cooling vibration that marks the steady, silent expansion of the nebula's heart. The emerald waves eventually bleed back into the pervasive crimson of hydrogen alpha light. This is the nebula's deep, rhythmic breath, the fundamental frequency of star birth. Each photon glides through the thinning gas with effortless grace, marking the steady, weightless passage of time in this silent, cosmic nursery. The crimson light overlaps with a subtle violet, the soft glow of ionized nitrogen lingering in the colder fringes. It moves with a rhythmic, liquid grace, flowing around dense knots of star stuff like a silent tide. In this weightless deep, every atom settles into its place in the grand cosmic design. We glide past these knots of matter, where light is trapped and scattered by microscopic silicate grains. This creates a pale, ghostly sapphire glow that illuminates the edges of the dark molecular cloud. Each grain is a tiny, rotating prism, performing a rhythmic, weightless dance in the eternal silence. Beyond the sapphire mist, the light lengthens into the warm, invisible embrace of the infrared. Tiny dust grains absorb the energy of newborn suns, glowing with a faint amber resonance. This is the nebula's thermal heartbeat, a slow and rhythmic pulse of heat sustaining the dark nurseries in the weightless void. We approach towers of ancient dust, their edges lined with a silver glow. The radiation from newborn stars carves these pillars at a glacial pace, creating a soft golden fringe. This rhythmic, silent erosion unfolds over millions of years, a slow-motion sculpture drifting in the weightless embrace of the nebula. Within these shadowed pillars, the light of sulfur ions glows in a rich, earthy ochre. This heavy golden hue traces the slow-motion collision of stellar winds against the cold, silent gas. Every atom moves in a rhythmic, geometric orbit, part of the nebula's grand and weightless symphony. We move past the ochre cliffs into a sea of translucent emerald. Here, ionized oxygen glows with a forbidden light, a signature only seen in the thin, weightless vacuum. These green ripples pulse with a slow, rhythmic cadence, carrying the warmth of ancient suns through the silent, comforting dark. From the emerald sea, we drift back into the soft, ruby embrace of the hydrogen alpha light. This pervasive crimson is the universe's simplest song, repeating in a rhythmic cycle of ionization and return. It flows like a warm, weightless river, tracing the slow and patient pulse of creation. As the rose hue deepens, we encounter ribbons of faint violet. This is the cooling breath of nitrogen atoms, settling into a more tranquil state. Every particle follows a rhythmic, geometric path, descending slowly through the nebula's vast architecture. It is a weightless transition, performed in the silent, comforting dark. We sink into the cooling indigo where microscopic dust grains gather. Here, the infrared glow of unborn suns acts as a faint, amber ember. This warmth is a rhythmic pulse, a slow-motion heartbeat of the nebula, turning everything in a steady gravitational dance through the weightless, silent dark. We glide past dark, teardrop-shaped cocoons known as proplyds. These are planetary nurseries, their edges ignited by a golden fringe of starlight. They drift in a slow, rhythmic erosion, shedding gas into the deep. This quiet, gravitational sculpture unfolds across the eons in the perfectly silent, weightless dark. The emerald signature of oxygen returns, a forbidden green phosphorescence that only breathes in this thin vacuum. It weaves through the dark, tracing the slow-motion currents of the nebula. Every vibration is a rhythmic echo of a distant star, moving with a patient, weightless grace through the silent deep. Beyond this emerald glow, we find ribbons of ionized nitrogen, casting a soft violet shadow. This light travels with a slow, rhythmic patience, brushing against cold clouds of graphite dust. Each atom drifts in a predictable path, settling into the nebula's grand, weightless architecture with a quiet, certain grace. We pass through veils of silicate dust where starlight scatters into a pale sapphire glow. This lunar mist fills the silent voids between the dense pillars. Each grain of dust is a tiny, rotating prism, performing a rhythmic, weightless dance that has persisted for millions of patient, quiet years. Within this sapphire glow, the light begins to stretch, warming into the deep amber of infrared. This is the breath of hidden suns, heating the cold dust. It is a rhythmic pulse, a slow thermal wave moving through the nebula's silent chambers. Here, gravity gently gathers the stardust in a weightless, eternal embrace. Moving through the amber glow, we see long glowing arcs of burnt umber. These are the footprints of stellar jets, pushing into the cold gas. They appear perfectly still, yet pulse with a rhythmic energy. This silent collision creates a soft bloom of light, a testimony to star birth in the comforting void. As these warm shocks fade, the light softens into a delicate lavender. This is the subtle signature of ionized nitrogen, cooling as it expands into the nebula's hollowed chambers. Every atom follows a rhythmic, geometric path, drifting in a slow orbit that has persisted for eons in the silent, weightless deep. We drift through these lavender curtains into a pool of soft, turquoise luminescence. This is the light of double ionized oxygen, glowing with a persistent, rhythmic intensity. Each photon moves with a gentle certainty, illuminating the velvet pockets of gas that turn slowly in the nebula's gravitational dance, perfectly silent and weightless. The turquoise fades into a deep, velvety rose as we encounter a denser pocket of hydrogen. This is the nebula's nursery, where gravity pulls atoms into a slow, spiraling descent. Every movement is part of a rhythmic cycle, a silent pulse of matter gathering across the vast, comforting eons of time. Within this rose-colored mist, the light of the central sun scatters against microscopic silicates. This creates a soft, sapphire halo that surrounds the dense, dark cores. Each grain of dust is a silent observer, rotating with a rhythmic, unhurried precision in the nebula's weightless and eternal embrace. Beyond the sapphire halo, We follow amber ribbons of gas as they spiral toward the dark centers of nascent suns. This is gravity's unhurried hand, drawing matter into a rhythmic, spinning dance. In this weightless sanctuary, the universe builds itself molecule by molecule, in perfect, silent, and eternal grace. These amber ribbons condense, their infrared warmth radiating softly into the indigo deep. It is a slow, thermal heartbeat, the friction of atoms gathering in a rhythmic, geometric embrace. Each particle settles into a weightless orbit, part of the nebula's patient, silent clockwork that has turned since the beginning of time. We emerge from the indigo into a region of soft, shimmering teal. This light is the reflection of the Trapezium suns off microscopic ice grains. Each crystal performs a slow, rhythmic rotation, scattering photons into a weightless mist. It is a silent, geometric piece, unfolding across the vast and comforting deep. The teal mist thins, revealing a vibrant emerald heart. This is the forbidden glow of ionized oxygen, pulsing with a slow, steady frequency that only the vacuum can sustain. In this weightless sanctuary, the light flows around dense knots of dust, a silent, rhythmic tide moving through the eternal, comforting dark. Where the emerald oxygen fades, the ruby hydrogen alpha light rises again, creating a soft, translucent magenta. This is the collision of the stellar wind with the nebula's deep reservoirs. It is a slow, rhythmic overlap, a mixing of colors that takes millennia to ripple across the weightless, silent deep. We drift toward the golden ochre of ionized sulfur, where the light carves long, luminous cliffs into the magenta haze. This boundary is a slow, rhythmic transition, marking the steady push of stellar winds against the nebula's ancient dust. Everything here turns in a patient, weightless, and eternal spiral. Beyond these golden cliffs, we encounter veils of silicate and carbon. Here, the starlight scatters, turning into a soft, lunar blue. Microscopic grains of soot spin slowly, caught in gravity's gentle, unhurried pull. This rhythmic dance of particles builds the foundations of future worlds. In the silent, weightless deep, we drift into the darker, colder lanes where the sapphire mist fades into deep indigo. Here, the infrared light of hidden protostars creates a soft amber glow. This thermal signature pulses with a rhythmic certainty, a slow-motion heat warming the frozen dust in the weightless, silent cradle of the nebula. In this dark nursery, molecules of water and carbon begin to align. They vibrate with a slow, geometric resonance, protected by the cool indigo veils. The light of far-off suns filters through, turning into a soft, pearlescent glow that traces the rhythmic, spiraling paths of atoms through the silent deep. We drift now into the emerald heart of the nebula, where ionized oxygen whispers in shades of sea foam and jade. This light, forbidden on Earth, thrives in the thin vacuum, pulsing with a slow, rhythmic energy. It is a weightless tide of photons, washing over ancient dust in a silent, cosmic embrace. As the emerald hues begin to dissipate, they merge with the soft, pervasive pink of hydrogen. This is the nebula's slow-motion breath, a rhythmic mixing of elements that has lasted for eons. We float within this weightless pastel veil, watching as the light flows through the silent, comforting void. Within this rose-tinted haze, we encounter the faint lavender of ionized nitrogen. It marks the edges where the nebula's gas thins and cools. Every atom moves in a slow, rhythmic circle, falling gently under the influence of the same silent gravity that once shaped our own sun, calm and weightless. We drift into the cooling blue shadows of a reflection nebula. Here, the light of distant massive suns bounces off microscopic grains of stardust. This scattering creates a soft sapphire mist. It is a slow, rhythmic diffusion of light, illuminating the weightless void with a calm lunar glow. Floating within this sapphire mist, we observe the individual grains of silicate and carbon. Like microscopic diamonds in a velvet sea, each spins with a rhythmic, predictable grace. These tiny particles follow ancient, weightless paths, orbiting invisible centers of mass in a slow, perpetual cycle through the silent, comforting deep. Leaving the sapphire mist, we drift into a region where ionized sulfur casts a warm golden ochre. This light marks the boundary where stellar winds meet the cold, silent gas. Everything here is in a state of rhythmic transition, a slow-motion sculpture unfolding over millions of weightless, quiet years. The golden ochre deepens as we move along the ridge of the Orion bar. Here, sulfur and hydrogen intermingle, creating a sunset palette that never fades. The gas expands with a rhythmic, thermal pulse, a slow exhale of the nebula that carries the ancient warmth of newborn stars across the silent, weightless deep. Behind the golden bar, we sink into regions of dense charcoal dust. Here, the light of newborn suns is muffled, appearing as a faint amber glow through the silicates. This warmth is a rhythmic thermal pulse, a slow-motion vibration of atoms gathering in the nebula's silent, weightless and eternal cradle. In this indigo silence, complex organic molecules drift like silent snow. They vibrate with a slow, geometric resonance, shielded from fierce radiation by veils of carbon. Gravity hums here, a quiet, persistent force, drawing these building blocks together in a rhythmic, weightless dance that spans the vast and comforting eons. Emerging from the dark nurseries, we enter a veil of translucent emerald. This is the breath of ionized oxygen, glowing where the void is thinnest. Every atom moves in a slow, rhythmic oscillation, casting silent shadows that stretch across the weightless cathedral of the nebula, perfectly calm, perfectly still. The emerald light begins to weave with a deep, rose-colored warmth. This is the glow of hydrogen, the universe's ancient foundation. Ions drift in a rhythmic tide, electrons falling into place with a patient persistence. These colors blend with a slow grace, moving like silk through the silent, weightless dark. Beyond the rose-tinted veils, a subtle ultraviolet energy interacts with the surrounding dust. It creates a soft fluorescent glow, a ghostly violet that defines the nebula's hollowed-out caverns. This light moves at the speed of patience, tracing rhythmic arcs across the weightless dark, perfectly synchronized with the universe's slow pulse. We drift through these luminous halls, where starlight scatters off microscopic ice grains. This produces a soft sapphire blue mist, a reflection nebula glowing in the cold. Everything moves in a rhythmic, circular flow, as gravity gathers the elements in a slow, patient embrace within the silent, weightless dark of the void. The sapphire mist eventually cools, the silicates radiating a faint silver glow. This is the nebula's thermal breath, releasing the energy of distant suns back into the void. Each atom drifts in a slow, geometric orbit, governed by the rhythmic pulse of gravity in the silent, weightless deep of space. Within this silver silence, a deep amber light begins to pulse. This is the glow of ionized sulfur, marking the boundaries where starlight meets the cold, dense dust. It moves with a rhythmic, steady persistence, carving golden hollows into the nebula's velvet fabric over millions of quiet years. Weightless and eternal, beyond the golden sulfur, the light filters into deep, charcoal shadows. These dark lanes are rich with complex molecules, rotating in a slow, rhythmic circle. Gravity hums here at a frequency beyond hearing, drawing stardust into spinning disks with an agonizingly patient grace in the silent, weightless, and comforting void. At the edges of the dark lanes, the light of the central suns begins to pierce the veil, casting iridescent halos across the dust. These shimmering rings of pearl and violet are the result of diffraction, a rhythmic, silent scattering that unfolds in the weightless deep, marking time's slow, patient pulse. The iridescent halos soften into a pervasive crimson glow. This is the light of ancient hydrogen, the nebula's primary building block. It flows in silent tides, a rhythmic, weightless migration of atoms. Here, the slow dance of gravity guides every particle in a perpetual quiet orbit across the infinite. Within this crimson haze, we encounter the slow thermal radiation of cold molecular clouds. This infrared warmth is invisible, but felt as a rhythmic pulse. Every grain of ice-covered dust spins in a weightless circle, contributing to the nebula's patient, silent clockwork as it builds the stars of tomorrow. We glide into the lavender twilight of ionized nitrogen. Here, the gas thins and settles into a state of quiet, geometric resonance. The light flows like a gentle, rhythmic tide, weaving through the dark silicate lanes. It is a weightless journey through the clockwork of the universe, perfectly silent and calm. Beyond the lavender twilight, we encounter a ghostly emerald glow. This is the light of oxygen, pulsing with a slow, rhythmic frequency that exists only in the thin, weightless vacuum. Each vibration is a silent witness to the nebula's ancient gravitational heartbeat, guiding the elements in a perpetual, comforting dance. As the emerald light thins, we drift into a region of soft, pearlescent white. This is the pure radiance of the Trapezium stars, scattered by a fine mist of ice and carbon. Each photon moves with a gentle, rhythmic certainty, illuminating the nebula's vast, weightless chambers in a silent, eternal glow. The white radiance slowly settles into a warm, golden ochre. This is the glow of ionized sulfur, lining the deep ridges of the nebula's interior. In this silent, weightless cavern, the gas drifts in a rhythmic, geometric flow, a slow-motion dance of elements that has turned for uncounted centuries. We drift away from the golden ridges, where sulfur and hydrogen weave together in a soft, sunset palette that knows no end. These ions move with a rhythmic orbital patience, tracing slow-motion arcs across the velvet deep. Here, in the weightless dark, the nebula's breath is perfectly silent. We sink into the indigo deep, where cooling molecular hydrogen glows with a faint violet hue. This is the nebula's quietest region, where the slow, geometric pull of gravity aligns atoms in a rhythmic ancient dance. Everything moves with a patient, weightless grace through the silent, comforting void. Within these indigo shadows, the light of hidden suns creates a soft amber resonance. This is the thermal heartbeat of the nebula, where grains of carbon absorb energy and re-emit it as a rhythmic warmth. Everything here is held in a state of patient, weightless growth across the eternal silent deep. We watch as the amber glow transitions into a ghostly, iridescent silver. This is the scattering of starlight against microscopic ice-covered silicates. These tiny prisms rotate with a rhythmic, unhurried grace, casting long, silent shadows that stretch across the nebula's vast, weightless architecture in the deep and comforting dark. The silver shimmer softens, bleeding into a faint, emerald oxygen glow. This transition is a slow, rhythmic tide, marking the steady pulse of the nebula's heart. Molecules drift through the weightless expanse, guided by a gravity so gentle, it feels like a silent breath across the vast, comforting void. Beyond the emerald whisper, the nebula returns to its primary hue, a deep, rhythmic crimson. This is the glow of hydrogen, the universe's oldest light. In this weightless sanctuary, electrons find their way home to protons in a slow, silent descent, casting a soft rose warmth across the eternal dark. We drift within this rose luminescence, feeling the steady cadence of creation. Here, atoms of helium and carbon align in a slow geometric dance, caught in the silent pull of the nebula's gravitational center. Every motion is unhurried, a rhythmic and weightless unfolding that spans across the vast, comforting deep. The rose light begins to soften as we reach the outermost fringes of the gas. Here, the starlight is faint, barely brushing against the cold veils of nitrogen. It creates a rhythmic pulse of deep violet, a silent heartbeat that echoes the slow, steady clockwork of the weightless universe. In this violet haze, individual molecules of carbon and silicate drift like slow-motion snow. They are the seeds of future worlds, rotating in a rhythmic geometric silence. Here, at the nebula's edge, the light of the central suns is a distant memory, a soft amber flicker in the weightless, vast, and comforting void. We drift into the final indigo, where the nebula's gas is sparse and cold. Here, the last scattered photons of sapphire light dance against microscopic ice, creating a faint, rhythmic shimmer. Every particle is a weightless traveler, following its silent gravitational path through the infinite and patient deep. The silver mist of the nebula's periphery thins into a profound, dark indigo. Here, the sparse atoms of hydrogen vibrate in a final, rhythmic cooling, releasing their last photons into the infinite black. We drift in this quiet transition, observing the slow, gravitational exhale of the cosmos in perfect stillness. Within this final indigo veil, the last ions of oxygen release a faint, emerald spark. This light travels through the silent, weightless dark, a slow and rhythmic journey into the deep. Gravity's hand remains steady, guiding every atom in a geometric dance that defines the patient, eternal clockwork of the universe. We drift now into the true edge of the void, where even the indigo dissolves into total velvet silence. The nebula's glow is a distant warmth, a rhythmic pulse of creation that lives within you. In this absolute stillness, the heavy dance of gravity finally yields to perfect weightless rest. The celestial colors fade, leaving you anchored in the warmth of your own breath. Remember, you are made of this same stardust. The nebula's light lives within you. You are safe. You are peace. You are home. Drift now into the deep, silent void of sleep. Good night.